All right, everybody, welcome back to the Xavier Klein Coaching Series here on Madden 25. So, what I wanted to do for these next couple episodes here, before we have a new chapter in this series, is just kind of summarize what I've been watching here. The reason why I'm doing that is I have recorded quite a bit of tape here for this series, for the Saints franchise, and I'd like to kind of get back and playing the games or watching the games and getting into the coaching component a little sooner. So we'll just kind of summarize this part of the series, considering it has not been so good here in year number 2 for Xavier Klein. The Saints have not been playing well. It's been real tough. You would think Brad Watson would be playing a whole lot better with this Dolphin style offense, but for some reason it is just not clicking for our guys. I thought I had the right receivers in place there. I thought I had the proper veterans around that rookie, but on the offensive side, just things feel quite stagnant. We've definitely learned some things so far in this season, as we are going to just show highlights in the background here of this season. I would say this, a lot of it aren't so much as highlights as they are just how bad it has been for us this season. We'll talk first about Brad Watson, as I tend to watch a lot more tape on the offensive side. You saw some good things from the O-line to a certain extent, but then injuries started to pile up. I'd say the tackle in Fuaga has been pretty awesome, but the other pieces are just not following through. I thought the playbook would give the options of some of these guys that have the ability to spread the field a little bit more. They're just not, and Brad's not willing to look down the field. He's definitely just checking down quite a bit, and that's the tough part right there. Is they continue to check down. So it's tough. It's definitely something right now where I just did not expect that to happen. I was hoping we would have gotten it done, but we continue to just collapse over and over again. The running game also is a question mark. We're just not finding the right guys to truly pop off, and it's been quite rough for us. And when you look at the rest of the receiving core, the tight end groups have not fulfilled what I was hoping. I was looking for possession guys that weren't going to cost us a whole lot of money, but were going to, one, be able to block, and two, catch the ball. And it looks like Brad is just not even paying attention to them, which is really rough. It's like you'd think his first instinct would consider running, but then all of a sudden he just collapses and does not get down the field as quick as I would have expected, right? Like his prospect profile showed that this guy was going to be elite. He was going to be speedy and have the ability to force QB spies and less chances of double teaming on my receivers, and it's just not working out. I almost thought about bringing back in Jake Haener, but I felt like Brad earned the spot to play there because Jake himself was not taking chances down the field too. And that's the thing right now, is I would rather see a lot more interceptions by my quarterback, but just ensure that we're taking it up the field than just not even trying. It seems like the quarterback was just very just scared, and we can't have guys scared out here, especially after already making it to the conference championship the previous year. It wasn't a hard field for us. It wasn't a hard deal. We should be able to do that. So that's not working out. The wide receiver group has definitely underwhelmed me too. Rashid Shaheed used to be very nasty up the field, but no one's taking a chance with him. No one's doing anything with him, and that's hurt quite a bit there. The other receivers are, I brought in Cortland Sutton to try to help us out because I wanted to have just a trustworthy veteran there, because one, Olave wanted to be closer to home, so that trade made a whole lot of sense in the preseason. But two, he had injury issues. He wasn't on the field as often. I thought inside zones for the running backs would work out a little bit more. Kendre Miller has not been the guy for us. Justice Hill hasn't done anything right for us. It's just all across the board. It has not been for us. So, we have to continue to keep moving forward here on our group. We have to continue to try to seek out and try to continue to push the envelope. But the trading for year two did not, or trading and FA extensions did not go according to plan. We did not finish the year off in a way that even remotely reflected what we did in the previous year. And I think it was just eventually that the Saints franchise had to eat the cap, and that's the hope, right? Like when we do these franchises and go from team to team, the goal is whether I stay with the team for more than 3 seasons or not, it has a lot to do with just making sure that the cap is healthy enough so when I leave they can go ahead and move on and have the space to kind of buy the appropriate amount of players, either for extensions on re-signings or draft picks. So the Saints in that aspect are a lot cleaner. We definitely gave players up that were just realistic for us to move on. One player, right, specifically was Marshawn Lattimore. I wanted to make sure that he was also taking off to another team, which is kind of hilarious in that in real life, Marshawn Lattimore was traded to the Commanders during the first season of the series, right, in 2024. So you knew you were going to have to move on certain pieces. I got it wrong with the Kamara component because Kamara ends up getting an extension with the Saints, where for us, we went ahead and just released him to kind of give us some space. Derek Carr as well, is released, and we'll kind of see how that looks like in that space there too. But man, it just you knew you were eventually going to have to eat the disaster in the cap, and you not only see that right now with the Saints in our franchise, but you also see that right in real life. One team right now that's dealing with that is the Dallas Cowboys. They have now felt the wrath of kicking the can down the road, and eventually they had to deal with that can. And it's so hard for them to deal with it. But once you bite that bullet, you can eventually find a way to get out of it. Another team in the NFC East that eventually will have to do that is going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. You've deferred too much money on the back end of contracts. You're going to have to do it. Now they've drafted great too, but you're gonna eventually have to lean on those youngsters. And right now they haven't necessarily done that yet. They got youngsters playing, but those older guys or the veterans on that team, they're eventually going to have to leave. Darius Slay, Bradbury, Brandon Graham, Lane Johnson. Those are guys that are going to have to move on. Dallas Goedert will eventually, his contract will have to be eaten because you're going to keep Jalen Hurts. You're going to keep Devonta Smith. You're going to have to figure out how you're going to deal with keeping A.J. Brown. You got Saquon Barkley for those 3 years. Eventually, how are you going to work with that? Are you going to extend him to keep his contract low and just kind of roll with him until he's like 31, 32 years old? How will you work through that, So with the Saints right now, that's what we felt. Now, defensively, I also did not see much. Last year, we had so much ability to attack, and with Gresham out there as one of our guys, our young players in the previous draft, you think that he would be able to do what he needs to do and get out there, but he was not used as often. We had some good youngsters on the team, good veterans on the team that kind of played that out, and I really enjoyed how they kind of worked through it. But the D-line did not penetrate the O-line as much as I would have hoped. We didn't get enough sacks this year like we normally do. We didn't have a lot of turnovers on the defensive side as the previous year. And, You know, Demario Davis was a guy that I was hoping would have kept this team intact because I wanted to have a good veteran there since we did not re-sign Tyrann Mathieu. Now I'm thinking maybe we should have just let them go and just kind of leaned on the youngsters to kind of, get better and get that experience. So the D-line needed some work. The corners, I think Kool-Aid McKinstry there is not a bad deal. I believe we let Paulson Adebo go as well. But our corners actually played okay. But we were getting beat on some of these deep passes here in a way that I could not believe. And Alontae Taylor, we had him playing in the slot. He was kind of getting smoked this year compared to previously. But Alontae Taylor's mostly a guy that loves to come in and blitz. The linebackers weren't working out as well as I thought as previously. Pete Werner was slow this year. You had Demario Davis playing super slow. We had a second-year rookie middle linebacker that was trying to take some time. It just wasn't working out. Granderson played well, but Granderson couldn't have been the end-all be-all. Isaiah Foskey didn't step up the way that we expected, like he did the previous year, his rookie season. It was just a strange year, man. And look, like you could see that right there. We would send blitzes and they just would not get there. They would just miss. And it really hurt the defense's capabilities there because, I really wanted something for Cam Jordan. And Cam Jordan, my hope is to keep him for another season and see if he's going to continue to kind of make it work there. But my goodness, this team just created frustration. Like, as we kept going further into the year, I'm like, man, we cannot get this figured out. Now, the defense, despite all that, I still felt like the defense performed well. I think they were like a top 5 defense for the season. But when you're out there, sometimes 60% or 70% of the time, you're gonna get hurt. And we were not scoring points. I think the Bucks Saints game, I think that was the highest we've scored all season, and we were losing at the end of this thing. We scored 20 points that game, and that was just sad to see. You would hope that we would succeed, but we just did not get it done. And Brad Watson he wasn't the guy. Maybe we should have just worked through that, but I guess not. So, as we move further into this season, and I just recognized it was not fun doing the commentary. I tried to see if I can get to different parts of the game. So we would sim through parts and just get us to like the fourth quarter or something like that. And games that I thought we would have a chance to win, I would watch them. And the Patriots game was one of those. Unfortunately, man, it was one of those collapses where I'm like, what the heck? Maybe Drake May is the truth. Maybe he is the guy that could really step up and do his thing there. And the defense did its thing, but the offense for the Saints just never got things going. The run game would work to some extent and then just wouldn't. You wouldn't get a chance to see our guys kind of pop off. It was just so weird, man. How come we couldn't just get down the field? We tried to run a little bit more. We tried to push the envelope, and I couldn't figure out the running backs in that space there. But as we continue to work through this series, right, I definitely want anyone's opinions on how we can kind of improve it. I have an idea of what I'd like to do when I get to the next franchise, because the goal there is to really mix it up, man. Or kind of show a little bit more of the inner workings of a game and how we can maybe update the game plan prior to each game based on the metrics or the analytics that we see. Maybe that'll kind of help out. We're going to have a new team, and I already have a list of free agents that are looking for that new franchise. But I want to get through the first chapter here. I was hoping it would be quite successful here for the Saints in this season, but it just, my goodness, was not. Inaccuracy, I don't think it was the sliders. I think it was just honestly a low OVR QB, man. It was kind of rough, and I don't know how we'll be able to make that change there. But I thought the running back, I thought the mobile QB aspect would work out. It just has not. So how do we continue to, outside of just checking the game plan, how else could we change it up? Maybe I'll speed up some parts of the games, not just watch each one, but maybe just even sim a couple weeks just to kind of keep the flow of it going. Because I'd like to see if I can get through maybe like 7 or 8 teams in a series, which would be kind of fun. Because by that point, if we do 2 to 3 seasons a team, what would that do for us, right? Where would we be at that point? We would be closer to like 2040, which means a lot of these quarterbacks that were here are no longer here. A lot of the wide receivers are older. So we'll get a chance to maybe mess with that and kind of see how we can evolve the teams. One thing I was thinking about doing was potentially going to certain teams and maybe changing the franchise logo and design, location, so that we can always see the game evolving into something more. With this series, we're not using custom draft classes, so you're not going to be finding like realistic names like Archie Manning in this series. That's really for the Big Blue Dynasty to kind of have that real draft class scenario there. So we could really make this thing as we have, and I had fun. I'm having fun with the Madden series and the Sim side quite a bit. The Big Blue side is honestly not that bad either. With the new sliders that have come out from Mat 10, maybe I got to see what that's going to do and how that's going to look. But it hasn't been that bad from a simulation series. I've seen the ball pushed up the field. I've seen them checked down a little bit more by the CPU. The defensive side has been very aggressive. I've seen some nice picks, some nice sacks. So it's just about gameplay design, game planning on my end. So the more we continue to watch this games and see how I play it out, the better chance I'm going to get to mess with it. So we end up losing a lot this year. No surprise for me on my end, but it was rough. We started getting smacked. I didn't even watch the game for the Niners because I was like, no way in hell. That was a bad game, so they ended up losing. And then we ended up hopping over to the next one there. And that one wasn't too bad of a game. You're talking about the Cardinals. Kyler Murray, I think he lost his spot. Can't remember. I feel like he's still there. But the Cardinals was a team too that I could see moving on from a coach down the road, because they either got to move on for the coach or move on from Kyler Murray, and I don't think they're going to do the latter there. But man, I was think about the guys that are on this team for the Saints, and was hoping to get us to the championship again, but it just did not come into fruition there. The offense just was so bad. I didn't think the Dolphins' offensive scheme would be that horrendous, but maybe we didn't have enough ability to change this team up to make it nice. It was bad. See, and that's the thing too. It's like the QB's lack of decision making was really horrendous there, and we kept feeling the pressure over and over again, and the defense having to be out there over and over for greater lengths of time. No matter how great the stops could be and have been, we just could not capitalize on it. It just sucked to see, man. I loved how the defense did play. I thought we had some really good guys. The rookie corner that we have on the team, I thought played very well, but it's sad. It's really sad to see our guys really not stepping up and just kind of getting smoked by these big plays. And we didn't have the speed. We didn't have the ability to get it right. And man, I just could not believe this. Golly, that was rough. Now, with the remaining time that we have in the video too, right? Like I said, the game started getting real rough, or the series started getting real rough for us. I want to think about how I want to set up the channel as well for the future there. My goal for this channel is to kind of evolve a little bit more too. I've been doing this now on the YouTube channel after hitting partner for about a year. And now the goal is, how do we kind of evolve it? Well, yeah, about a year and a half or so we've hit partner. So, you know, what can we do now to kind of take it to the next level? So I'm going to try to kind of mix it up a little bit more. You know, we got some games and everything. We did go ahead and bring back Warzone, which I'm super happy about now. Just hanging out with my buddies and just having fun. So I'll have some clips of just us having a good time there. I think I have an idea of what I'd like to do in that space, because it's not so much about being the best at the game. It's like working within my abilities to try to get those games, you know, to kind of get that win, but still have fun with my buds. So that's one series that we're working through. I would like to kind of get a podcast going as far as my journey around card collecting again. We have started that, you know, we started that early August, and I've been buying cards from August till now. And I've pretty much built out a pretty good collection that's probably, you know, a decent value. So I think I have an idea of what I'd like to do with that, and kind of compare and contrast what card collecting used to be when I was a kid versus now, where you don't really, I don't know, it's just a different feeling. Something I never would have expected in that space, especially when card collecting truly was a childhood hobby, you know. And I recognize that it is a childhood hobby, but for me, as a you know, a grown person, a grown man, I thought I would get back into it because I wanted to buy cards that I've never had the opportunity to buy when I was a kid. And for me, it's just fun to kind of collect and kind of build it out and set it up in the right way too. So we'll continue to work down on that piece there and how we would like to get that going, because that would be a fun thing, a hobby a fun thing to show how I do it. Like I said, my goal isn't to have the Michael Jordan rookie card or the you know, these huge freaking $1,000 price cards. Like, that's not my goal. My goal is to just collect on things that I would like, understand the economy around it too. That's something else that I think needs some clarity too, because there's definitely certain mechanics in that market that to me aren't really as understood, like as far as understanding the parallels, short prints, all that stuff. That's the stuff I was growing up, I had no idea. I just liked when a card looked nice and when the person on the card was one of my players that I enjoyed watching on either sports, basketball, baseball, or football. So, you know, that's another series there. So we'll kind of keep it going. I would like to see us continue to evolve the channel, and my hope is that you all can kind of help me along the way. I don't want it to be the same as everybody else's, because for me, the kind of things that I enjoy doing isn't necessarily the same way someone else would. I like building out franchises. That's always a really fun thing to do for me, whether it's football or baseball. And I think I know what we're going to do for the next MLB The Show for sure. But, you know, back to this series here, it's been one of those ones where, you know, the simulation in this game is honestly not bad. I wish there was more mechanics around building a team. I don't think there really is much there. I don't think, I think the contract building isn't as strong as I wish it could be. I think there should be more mechanics of that. There's a lot of weird storylines in this game that would never happen. Like a player texting a coach saying, I want this, and it's like, okay, how do we define it? Give me 2 touchdowns. Like, it just wouldn't work that way. It's understood that when you build out a contract, there are certain bonuses, and that would actually be kind of fun, right? If you had a player that they had a bonus at 10 touchdowns as a wide receiver, making the All-Pro team, making the Pro Bowl team, making it to the playoffs, hitting 100, hitting 200, or like hitting 100 receptions, or having 100-yard reception games. Like, there's a certain things that I think you could do in the contract side that make more sense, where the storylines don't make sense at all. Like, I'd be so shocked if a coach, for example, was quizzed by the press. How many sacks per game are you averaging right now from your linebackers? How many? Or like, coach, one of the things that I pride myself on is I'd like to live closer to home. Would you like me to change my trait? Like, what? Like, you want to live closer to home? You are on the New Orleans Saints and you're from Maine. Like, what are we talking about? Why would we have that in the game? And how come that would impact it? Or a coach not telling everybody their secret of what they would like to do. I would like to emphasize the free agent market. I would like to find a sleeper in the draft. All these were weird scenarios that I did not understand, or I don't have a plan. And it's not so much I don't want to tell you my plan. Oh, the team's morale is dropped because no one knows what you want to do. Like, what the heck are we talking about right now? So strange, man. So strange. So, I'm hoping we can kind of work through that. Oh, Chris Olave is still on this team, so my bad. I dropped the ball. Olave is still on this team. That is the next chapter, next season. So sorry about that there. But, we tried to push the envelope in this game as much as I could, and I'm going to continue to do that. The next team that we're building out, I'm looking forward to how I'm going to get the offseason going, and maybe even show a little bit more of the preseason. I pre-recorded some of the preseason games or preseason highlights in the Big Blue Dynasty. Maybe we try to do that more here in the next chapter of kind of showing, okay, who's doing this or who's doing that, maybe trying to chart some stuff as far as who we'd like to see kind of stepping up. I wish there was ways to build out goals for each player too. That's another thing that kind of helps with the storyline building, right? Like, if you can look at each player and go, what goal would you like to set up for your starting running back, right? And you set up the goal for your starting running back to be, I'd like him to have 7 touchdowns, rushing touchdowns. I'd like him to have 1,000 scrimmage yards this year. I'd like him to have 750 yards on the ground. I would like him to not have more than 2 fumbles this year. Those are things that I think can help you evolve the team and change the game plan according to that. But then now you have conflicting, right? You're getting closer to the end of the year, and you got a running back that's got 720 yards, and he is now injured, and he's not available until week 17. But, you don't want to do you risk him getting hurt so he can hit his goal, or do you put him in or do you ignore that, and now the running back thinks like, oh, you didn't want to give me my bonus kind of deal. So I wish there was ways to kind of make the incentive stuff or the goals for each player make sense. I think the O-line goals used to make some sense in the old Madden, where if your running back hit like a 15-yard, not a 1,500 yard, but yeah, maybe a 100-yard season on the ground, rushing yards on the ground, O-linemen would get like a boost or something like that, or have a greater chance of making the Pro Bowl. Right now, Pro Bowl for O-line makes 0 sense to me. I don't get how you determine each tackle, each position on that team, on that line to actually make sense there, and it sucks. I think there's definitely neglect in the franchise side. As much as they say they keep trying to improve the franchise, it's not. This game is designed for you to play against each other on the whatever the hell that is, Ultimate Team, and it's just that's where they make their money, and it just sucks. If you could build this game out for the franchise players, you would have a better base, a better floor. Because if everyone loved the game from a franchise standpoint, and then you supplemented that with the Ultimate Team, my goodness, this game would make EA a ton of money. But when the floor is very low because the franchise mode is not great, that's the part that sucks there. You'd wish that this team would, that this game would work out a little bit better, but there's just a lackluster, and there's certain rules I got to put on my games and my franchises in order for it to have fun. For me, unfortunately, but I'd rather do it like that than never want to buy another game, because I enjoy playing football games. It's fun. That's the kind of stuff that I wish we could do better there, but we'll kind of keep working through it. The season did not go according to the plan, right? The Saints end up finishing the year 5-12. We won our last game. Super pumped about that. But not much occurs after that. The re-signing period's up, and we have to figure out who we're going to keep, who we're going to bring back, who we're going to let go. And Demario Davis, Tyrann Mathieu, those are players. I guess I mixed up the seasons. I have to choose between one of those and those players right there, see who we're going to keep in that space. But it was a rough one. Brian Brissy, he was always injured, so I didn't know if a fifth-year option would make sense, and we'll talk through that in the next episode, as we're gonna probably break up that half with like off season and probably mid-year, and then finish the third episode as the conclusion of that season, and heading to the next team. But we'll get from there. It was fun though. But if you like what you saw today, everybody, please drop a like, leave a comment, tell me what you think, and most importantly, subscribe to keep up with the series. A little different here. Like I said, the next 3 episodes, including this one, are gonna be more of me talking through it, but we'll make it work. Have yourself a good one.